that game. Toronto came back, tied it, won in an extras 5-4, so you got to push there. And his first 5 bet on the Boston Red Sox, up 2-1 on Minnesota, needed 3 outs. Twins got 3 in the bottom of the 5th to take a 4-2 lead, won the game 4-2. So unfortunately, he lost that one. But still, pretty close. Close isn't going to do much if they can't get over the hump. So those were the picks for yesterday on Chasing That Paper. Now we look forward to today's picks in Major League Baseball. And we have 3 of them, a side, a total, and a strikeout prop. First, we'll start with the side. I'm going to back the Philadelphia Phillies. I'm going to go with them. I'm going to ride that horse, even though we had the strikeout prop last night. I believe in Aaron Nola. I think that Aaron Nola will help the Phillies come back and beat the Diamondbacks this evening. 1 earned run or less in 4 of his past 5 starts. Look at Zach Gallen. He's been very good for Arizona of late. Got a no decision his last time out against Kansas City in a loss. But last time he faced the Phillies at Citizens Bank Park, 6 runs allowed back on June 10th. He couldn't even get out of the second inning. He was racked in that game by the Phillies. And also Arizona 6-9. Their last 15 home game 2s, kind of a quirky stat, but I think Philadelphia rebounds here tonight. I wish they wore those uniforms. I love those uniforms, but the Phillies, though, I'm going to take them on the money line to beat Arizona and rebound this evening. So that's our best side. Now let's go to our best total of the night, and that's in Cleveland between the Guardians and the Orioles. And I'm going to go with the over on this one. A little contrarian, simply because both Baltimore and Cleveland are on 7-1 runs to the under their last 8 games. The Orioles had a bunch of low-scoring games in Houston. The Guardians had a bunch of low-scoring games in Seattle. Now, Cal Quantrill, he starts for Cleveland tonight. He's been excellent of late, coming off an underdog win at San Diego's last time out. But he is 8-1 to the over his last 9 in the favorite role. Also, Cleveland 7-2 to the over their last 9 home openers off a road game. So Cleveland comes back home. They're off that trip in Seattle, a tough series. They tend to have these high-scoring games. I think with Baltimore tonight and the Orioles, now that I'm not seeing Justin Verlander and not seeing some of the pitchers in Houston, Quantrill's still good. He's not Verlander. No one's Verlander. But I think this one goes over. Let's take the over on the Orioles-Guardians as our second best bet. Now for our third best bet, strikeout prop, Rangers, Astros down in Texas. Dane Dunning, who's awful on the road, pitches much better at home. We're going to go over on his strikeout prop tonight. It's set at 4.5. You get some plus money on it. The former Florida Gator, when you look at his numbers, 3-1 to the over his last 4 strikeout props. Also, this year against the Astros, 4 and 5 strikeouts. So he's in that range against them. But here's the key, though. The Astros, 31 strikeouts in their last 4 road games against the opposing team starters. Now, I will say a little side note on that. That came in Atlanta in their last series where they faced Spencer Strider's big strikeout pitcher, Charlie Morton. So the numbers skewed a bit. But Dunning, though, just a lot more confident at home. I think he takes care of business tonight. Let's go with the plus money on Dane Dunning over strikeouts tonight against the Houston Astros. So those are our best bets for tonight in Major League Baseball. Phillies, Orioles, Guardians over, and Dane Dunning over on his strikeouts. Before we get to Steph Smalls and talk some NFL with her, first want to tell you about Bet365 and VegasInsider and Bet365. They have teamed up to offer new users an amazing welcome offer. Bet365 Sportsbook is offering an exclusive bonus. Customers can bet $1 and get $200 in free bets. Also, users must use the code NJVIP at sign-up and be located in a legal betting state where Bet365 is licensed. This is for new users only. Full terms and conditions apply. You can check them out now. It is Bet365. All right, let's transition to the NFL. And let's bring on Steph Smalls, who joins the show every Tuesday here on Chasing That Paper. And Steffi, it's good to have you here. We have some MVP futures to talk about. But before we get to that, though, your New York Giants, who are not predicted to win the NFC East, you know that. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. But what was your evaluation of the preseason now that we have this time in between their opener against Tennessee next week?
Yeah, I think things went as well as you could have expected. I could have done without that Kayvon Thibodeau injury there. A little debatable what's going on right now with some of the cuts that we're seeing this morning, but I think the Giants are in a a good spot to make a case for not being the worst team in the NFL. Still making probably a top 5 pick next year, but pleased with where they're at. They looked better than last season, and you can't ask for much more.
Well, our topic of the day coming up in a few minutes is going to be our worst team in the NFL. So we'll see what Steffi has, what I have. So that's all coming up in just a few minutes. First, though, MVP. Who is going to be the MVP? Where's the value in MVP? We know it's normally a quarterback, but Steffi's got a couple quarterbacks to take a look at. First, let's start with Lamar Jackson. And Lamar hurt at the end of last year. Again, you see where this Ravens team is without him. Obviously, a much different team. They had all those close losses, but Lamar healthy now. Steffi, what do you think of Lamar and his chances to win the MVP this year?
Yeah, something we do know is normally this is an award for quarterbacks. 14 of the last 15 MVPs have been with a quarterback. And of those, we see repeats a lot. We look at Peyton Manning, Brady, Rodgers, and Lamar Jackson, in case people forgot, did win in 2019. He's looking at odds at 20-1. I like those odds a lot. People like to knock Lamar for his arm, call him a running back, but Rashad Bateman is in year 2. We've yet to be able to see what they can do on the field together. There's a lot of noise surrounding his contract, and as we know, like he did back in 2019, he likes to respond to the doubters. And I mean, just look at his 11 games last year, 16 TDs, 13 interceptions. Not great. We like that number a little bit better on our MVPs, but I think that's possible. Look at Jalen Hurts, who was the leader in both carries and rushing yards. You know, Lamar only had 6 fewer carries and 17 fewer rushing yards in way less games than Jalen Hurts. Team wins also help secure MVP honors, and the Ravens are tied for the league's 4th highest win total. They won 8 games without a full season with Lamar. Everyone knows I'm a big Ravens fan this year, so excited to see what they can do this year. I like Lamar at 20-1. Nice odds there for a guy that's already won MVP on a team that's looking at a lot of wins this season.
You know, Steffi, I'm looking at DraftKings, and there are 9 players ahead of Lamar Jackson to win MVP, which is crazy to think. I mean, not Lamar should be the runaway odds-on favorite, but there are Josh Allen, Tom Brady, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Russell Wilson going to Denver, Matt Stafford, Dak, Aaron Rodgers. Just crazy that you have 9 guys ahead of them. But one of those guys, though, Steffi, is Patrick Mahomes. And Mahomes in that mix, and we'll see what he could do this year without Tyreek Hill at his disposal.
Yeah, and I think that everyone that does know me knows I am one of Patrick Mahomes' bigger critics, and they're probably shocked that I'm not using Kirk Cousins again once this season. I've been talking about Kirk Cousins and the Vikings enough. I think Patrick Mahomes, like Lamar Jackson, has already won this. I like the narrative of Mahomes showing everyone that he is just as good as we know he is without Tyreek Hill. He has rookie Sky Moore, Juju, who is definitely better than everyone thinks. Just because you don't see a guy for a little bit doesn't mean that he is talentless. Also, Kelsey, in case you forgot about that guy over there, who is still going to be a phenomenal receiving option. He's been, last year, top 4 QB in pass attempts. And this pick is probably not getting as much attention because no, he's not a sexy pick because we know how great he is, but they're guaranteed to have a top offense. And all 4 seasons as a starter, he finished top 2 in EPA. He's good for at least, this is bare minimum 12 wins. So yes, they have a tougher opening schedule. So I might be looking to buy in at this number a little bit later, but plus 900 is still really good odds for a guy that we know is going to be on a winning team and we know has won this award already. So you know what? Let's ride with the narrative that he's going to show everyone that he does not need Tyreek Hill.
Well, the other thing, too, Steffi, is that I think a lot of people just get sick of Lamar, Mahomes. They want someone new. They want the Josh Allen. They want Herbert. They want one of those guys to win it when Mahomes, like you said, still going to be great in this offense. And Lamar, as long as he's healthy, he's still going to be fantastic. So there's nothing wrong in going with the guys that have been there before.
Right. Exactly.
So that's where the MVP at least looks at least the MVP odds as of now. A lot of names We'll see who ends up winning it. Now, let's go to our topic of the day. We'll stick with the NFL. Who is going to be the worst team in the league? And we have so many nominees. There are so many out there that could maybe win this award at the end of the year, Steffi. But who is it going to be, in your estimation, which team is going to stink the most in the NFL this year?
And this is difficult because I think there's a lot of teams that make a very strong argument to fit this. I think that you look at the Seahawks schedule, you look at the quarterbacks that they have, just look at them losing Russell Wilson. They won 7 games last year. They could very much find themselves in that first draft position. You look at the Bears, horrible O-line. We've seen what happens when teams go through with new management, what can happen with that type of team. But I'm looking at the Texans, might seem like a little bit of a scapegoat, but they're really bottom of the barrel in nearly every position. While I think that we see the Texans take a move in the right direction, they're still a rebuilding franchise that is extremely young. And I liked what we saw out of Davis Mills. I like the connection, the flashes we saw with Nico Collins, but it's still a little bit limited in that we need to see this consistently out of the two of them, out of the rest of the team. Their O-line is not going to provide Mills with a lot of protection, and that's often difficult for a quarterback that we're expecting to make leaps and bounds in their development. Outside of the secondary improving with Stingley Jr., their defense is still not great here. So unfortunately, I'm positive about the Texans, that they're headed in the right direction, but I'm going to have them finishing as the worst team in the NFL next year. But Seahawks, Bears, Falcons, Giants, there's a lot of teams that could easily take this away from them. They just got to win a couple more games than them.
I'm going with the Atlanta Falcons, Steph. I have to think that your quarterback situation's bad, so how are you going to win? Marcus Mariota, who lost his job to Ryan Tannehill in Tennessee, he went out to the Raiders. That didn't work out. Didn't expect much of him because Derek Carr was going to be the quarterback anyway. But also Desmond Ridder, who could be a good quarterback coming out of Cincinnati. We'll see if he ends up starting. But Calvin Ridley, he's suspended for the gambling situation. Matt Ryan's off to Indianapolis now. Arthur Smith, there's not a lot of raving reviews about him as the head coach. And his team went 7-10 last season, very low win total. I mean, the only bright spot really is Kyle Pitts on the offensive side, the tight end out of Florida. But besides that schedule, New Orleans in the opener at home, at the Rams. Granted, Seattle's not very good. Still a tough trip out there. Cleveland at home. They missed Deshaun. But then after that, at Tampa Bay, San Francisco, Cincy. We'll see what Carolina's made of with Baker. Chargers. It could get a little rough for the Falcons moving forward. And in a division where we know how good Tampa Bay is going to be, Carolina should be improved. New Orleans is still pretty competitive. So I'm going to go with the Falcons as the worst team just because your quarterback situation is in such flux. And when you don't have confidence in the coach, you don't have a quarterback, it spells problems. So I got to think the Falcons will be in that mix for one of the worst teams in the NFL this season. So, Steffi, before we let you go, and I know you're excited. What's your preparation, or what's your week like now since you have no NFL this week, but it's your final no NFL week for a very long time?
It's just, I'm so excited. Everyone knows that MLB is not exactly my sport. I don't love it. I've tried very hard to get into it this season. So looking forward to the NFL, getting as many futures as possible in and saying as many prayers for my New York Giants as I can.
We'll see how it goes. They got Tennessee opening week. Maybe they'll pull a shocker for Brian Daboll. We'll see. Maybe some good things will happen in New York. At least you're not the Jets. So that's the only good sign you have.
Touche.
So we'll see how it goes. Steffi Smalls. Steffi, where can we find you on social media?
Yeah, you guys can find me at Steffi Smalls with 3 L's. And, of course, every Tuesday and Friday on Chasing That Paper. And all my other stuff is at Champions Round. All
right. Steffi Smalls, thank you so much. We'll talk to you later in the week.
See ya.
All right. There is Steffi Smalls, and good work out of her. And, you could find her on Twitter at Smalls. Remember, 3 L's. You can find her there on Twitter. We do have our tweet of the day, speaking of which, and it's going back to baseball here. And the Rays and the Marlins. Rays -1.5 easy money. That simple. That's it. Just take the Rays. Shane McClanahan, he takes them out for Tampa Bay tonight. They're facing the Marlins. The Marlins offense is terrible. They can't score anywhere. And this Marlin team just played the Dodgers. They lost 3 or 4 to the Dodgers. And now they get Tampa Bay coming up tonight. And McClanahan, he's had a fantastic season for the Rays. They're on the road, so you take the run line on the road. Rays 1.5 easy money. Sometimes the analysis just needs to be that simple. You don't need to have all of the all the stats. It's just raise 1.5 easy. See ya. See the cashier. Give me my money. And that's it. Coming up tomorrow on Chasing That Paper, I'll be back. And Devin Walker, MTV's Devin Walker, he is going to join us. And we'll see what kind of crazy parlay he's going to hand to us coming up tomorrow. So looking forward to that. We'll have more Major League Baseball best bets as well. We'll review this night, and hopefully this night's better than last night. And don't forget, Down in the Wire coming up at 6 o'clock on our YouTube channel at Vegas Insider TV. Joe Madden is hosting this evening, as she's making her debut on Down to the Wire. So check that out. And I'll be back in for Joe Osborne again tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern. And you can find Chasing That Paper every morning on our YouTube channel at Vegas Insider TV and also on Vegas Insider. So we will be with you again tomorrow at 11 a.m. As always, we appreciate the time. I'm Kevin Rogers, and as always, best of luck with your bets.